Okay, so thanks, Chef Gray, for joining us today. First, tell us a little bit who you are, what you do, obviously, what's your relationship with food growing up, and all the fun stuff.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So my name is Joel Gray, and I'm the chef partner of Down Home Farmhouse Restaurants. We started a project in 2019, not 100% knowing exactly what it was going to be, but just knowing that we wanted to showcase small scale farms, artisans, producers, and people up here in Gray. A lot of amazing first, second generation farmers kind of doing wonderful things within the farmer practices, like growing incredible foods, like potters, glass blowers, like so many people who have really kind of ended up within this county, just doing very, very special and unique things that we just wanted a platform to take the time and just basically talk about everyone and cook some beautiful food and be able to connect with people. I think sharing a plate of foods is my outlet to be able to build relationships with people and feel like I can actually have a connection and share something with them. So we moved to the farm in 2019 without a shovel in our hand or anything and decided we're going to start growing food here, learning how to farm and open a restaurant in the house that we live in, which is definitely a very unique thing to do. And I don't know if I necessarily recommend it for everyone to do, but it seems to be something that's worked out well for us. So we're in year now, like, took us a couple of years to figure out how to figure all that out. We're now year 3 of the restaurant. I feel like we're finally starting to hit like a really big stride. This year, big push out with our gardens, our farm aspect of like finally be able to feel like it feels like a farm. That's also a restaurant too as well, and everything is kind of existing in one. And yeah, growing a lot of food, cooking a lot of great things from the farm, and still showcasing, talking about what we have up here in Gray.
Right. And just a bit about when you're growing up, did you always liked food? Were you a picky eater? Anything
Oh
like
man,
that?
I grew up always loving food. It's funny, I always kind of had this story that like I didn't have, like, you know how like you have like great chefs who always have this like, well, I grew up like making sauce with my grandmother, or like we grew up doing this, and I always told myself, I'm like, I don't have one of those great food stories, but I actually do have like one of those great food stories. Like thinking about that a little bit more, it's like we kind of always grew up in and around food. Every summer in particular, of like coming from Nova Scotia, my grandfather owned a blueberry business, so we'd spend all summer in the field picking blueberries. So it's like a relationship still with plant, how a plant grows, seasonality of things. um, my family always had like large gardens, so just kind of like one of the like best stories was like we'd get out of the car to go visit my grandparents, and everyone would be going in the house and I'd be going to the garden to eat. And it's like that instant connection of like just tasting food right from the plant, and you can't get any better than that. So it's like that's like definitely shaped a lot of my great food memories, I think, or core memories of like connecting with food and connecting with plants and like um, just kind of growing up around those kind of things. So
Cool.
yeah,
And recently you just got married, literally. So
we did. Yeah, yeah.
congratulations, right?
Thank you. Yes.
And your now wife, Hannah, was saying in an interview that storytelling around food is really important. So how do you guys manage that?
Yeah, yeah. Storytelling is everything, right? I think people really want to connect with something with food nowadays. I think they're what I'm trying to figure out the best way to navigate this. I really found with creating a story about what we do here. When I first started cooking, I feel like I was cooking for like many years and just kind of autopilot, like learning, growing, working in different restaurants, figuring out different techniques, different things. But I think when we moved here and started connecting with the farm where we are, connecting with small scale farms, stuff like that, I felt like I had a sense of purpose with cooking. And that really started to build our story. Hannah and I is like a relationship of two people who just decided to open this very interesting business. that's just kind of just continued to grow. You know, we continue building that story, connecting with farms, and you know, everyone else's story is part of our story too as well. You know, our purpose, our sense of purpose, our sense of being is to promote and showcase what we have up here. Just it's so important. But then also like our story as a couple, like, you know, the positives and negatives of trying to do something that's very unique. You know, just opening a restaurant in your house is like has its challenges, but like it's just filled with so much joy and reward every day, which is such a beautiful story and something to connect to. I don't know, it's like, yeah, storytelling is so fundamentally important, I think, in a business, because again, like kind of coming back to that connection, like people want to connect with their environment, their space, they want to feel good about kind of where they're going and what they're eating, and like now more than ever that's like important, like especially when people want to feel value with how they're spending their money and know that the quality is there or the sense of purpose is there, or like I feel like people when they come here, they feel like not only do they know that they're going to get hopefully a quality meal, but they're going to feel like they're investing in our future too as well, and that feels great.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so, to your point, the restaurant opened back in 2022, right?
Yes, I think officially, yeah.
Right. And then before that, you had a farmhouse project.
Yes, yeah.
In the Sumac and Salt.
Yes,
in 2019. So, how did that transition came about? Is that something you always wanted to do? And, you know, how was the transition?
The transition from Sumac and Salt to down home?
Yes.
So I think when Hannah and I first started, Sumac and Salt was like definitely doing like pop-ups, collaborations, whatever we can do. We were doing quite a few long table farm dinners at one of our local farms, Good Family Farms, which is like a farm that we still have on our menus like every week too as well. But then when we moved to the farm here, we just really wanted to be more than about just us. We wanted to be like a team. And be able to like also share their stories and have them feel like they were part of something and not just be completely focused on Hannah and I. So when we moved to the farm, we wanted to give it a name, and we called it Down Home after going to my grandmother's house. It was always called going down home. So it felt right. Like we moved here, it was like kind of leaning into that vintage, you know what I mean, like homey vibe, but serving like great quality food. I think it just felt like the Sumac and Salt chapter just needed to be closed, and then we needed to kind of shift more into the down home, like an evolution, I guess. It was like, oh, this is our next step of like growing as a business. It's like, this is where we want our focus to be. It's like, we don't want it to be just Hannah and I, we want it to be a collection of things that can continue to grow. And yeah, just down home seems to be a lot easier than saying down home with Sumac and Salt. You know, it's like that's too much.
And so that kind of leads to my question. Maybe just an expansion of that question would be, how different is it here in down home as opposed to a quote unquote normal restaurant?
Yeah, it's so different. I mean, I get to wake up every day, walk outside, and look at the plants that are around us that I get to then feed to people. I get to go out and I get to taste things in the garden that grow in many different cycles. Thinking about plants in different ways. We kind of touched on that a little bit today. Like plants can taste drastically different through the day, and that's kind of a fun thing to experiment with. You know, like a typical farm would be, let's say, like growing a vegetable for that peak time where it's like I'm growing to the point of where that carrot is like that perfect size and we're gonna harvest it then. And it's like, but they're not thinking, if I pull those carrots early, what will it taste like? What can I play with the size? If I leave that carrot in the ground until we start getting frost and snow, how does that carrot change? You know what I mean? Like we get to experiment and think about plants in such a different and drastic way. Which makes us such better chefs, thinking about those things. And it's just, yeah, that like quality ingredients incredible. Like being able to like just step outside and have that, like come downstairs from the place that you live and you're just in your like perfect environment that you've created. It's just, yeah, it's like people talk about work-life balance, I think is like a coin, like a conversation that people have all the time. It's like trying to find a work-life balance is like hard in our industry. But we just basically we created our perfect life, and we've just implemented it in work into that, and then we just invite people in every week, and we get to kind of just share that with people. So it's like it does, and there's no separation between work and life. It's all just one thing. You guys are just coming in to eat, and it's just like you're part of our lives, which is like that's something that's very very special, and I think other people can do that too.
That actually leads to my question perfectly. Is obviously farm to table restaurants or things like that are very popular now.
Mm-hmm.
Even within the area, there's a lot of them.
Yes.
So how do you stand out in that region, or do you try to find some sort of place within that specific to your particular restaurant or a particular?
Yeah, I think. I mean, like, you can't get more farm to table than being on a farm and walking out and like walking through the gardens and seeing and connecting with the food, and then seeing it on your plate, you know, an hour later. It's like there's no more connection. I think there's a lot of farm focused restaurants um, that do a hell of a job at like cooking incredible food, but um, I think like true farm to table is like you're here, you're experience it, you're connected, you're having that connection with the food. It's they're connecting with it among many different points of the day. Whether we're walking around, we're tasting things raw in the garden, I'm making you pick something to try something. You know, just even talking about farming practices, and then you're able to kind of have that connection with it, and then you're coming in and you're getting to see the whole reason of why we went through all that effort is the food at the end of the day that you're going to eat and you're going to taste. Like we cook very simply, with like ingredients that are here that we don't feel like we have to do a lot with. Maybe a little butter, tiny bit of acid with like a little bit of vinegar and some salt, and that's most of the time it with different things, or just raw like in different applications. Or it's like you can't beat the quality. And I think what sets us apart is I think just how unique we've decided to. There's not very many restaurants that you get to go to, at least I have found within Ontario, Canada, where like you walk in and you're walking into a farm, and then you're gonna have dinner there. You know, there's like maybe a handful that I can think of that actually exists like that. I think that kind of sets us apart of like just being like it's here and we want people to connect with it, and it's a true representation of what farm to table feels like it should be to me anyway.
I think maybe for very Ontario specific context,
Yes.
also you kind of not like Niagara has a better quote unquote climate, I would
Does, yeah.
imagine. So
Yeah.
here it's a little tougher to do certain things maybe, and that makes it a little bit different in that sense. Maybe I don't know if that's something that
It does, yeah. It's not easy up here for sure for growing. Our seasons are fairly short, but I mean it's just like not having a big background in farming. It's kind of what I know. Like up here, for it's like like this just doesn't work, so we don't try it. Or like every year we experiment with a little bit, and try different things and see like will this work. But then you can kind of know like this will work because you know this type of plant will grow in this type of environment, and this won't work, so we're just not going to even try that one. But I don't know. Like I think just the fact that like there's not too many people who are crazy enough to open a restaurant in the house that they live in, and then try and run a farm out of that too as well. I think it takes a very interesting, slightly crazy person to do that. So I think that definitely sets us apart from farm to table restaurants, quote unquote. Yeah, I don't know.
that I mean, and that gets me curious as far as when you talk about farm itself.
Yes.
Like you said, you don't have a quote unquote official or a lot of experience within sort of farming in itself. So how did you, let's say, learn, or what did you find that's difficult? What's easy? How did you find the entire process?
Yeah, I feel like nothing's ever easy, and then I feel like just as soon as I feel like I'm starting to learn something, you're like, okay, here's a new bug, here's a new environmental impact thing, here's something that it didn't rotate with, here's learning about how a plant doesn't play well with another plant. You know, it's like it's very actually exciting too as well, because like as a person that like continuously likes to learn and grow, like, and that's something with cooking, you're always learning new techniques, you're always trying to push forward to do different things. The fact of like learning how to grow food and connecting with that food is so much fun. It's so much fun to like start something in like a little seed pod in like March and just kind of water it and grow it, and then it goes out and it gets transplanted in the garden, and then it grows, and then you watch this thing grow up, and it's magical. Like it's perfect. It's incredible. There's so much effort that goes towards it. And it's all learning. Like it's just continuously always studying, watching. When we first started our business as Sumac and Salt, and like as we've done, we have only connected and worked with small scale farms. So we drive every week to these farms to pick up produce, fish, everything. It's like I pick the fish up, all of these things. So it's like we're able to have that one-on-one connection with farms. I think that's something else too. Like as a farm to table restaurant, like we have relationships with all of our farms. That's like another word. Like we know all of our farmers' kids' names. Like we get invited over to like parties. Like we actually have genuine friendships with them. But we're able to like glean a lot of information and be like, hey, like why is this going on, or what happened with this? So you build like this network, like a support network, around all these small businesses, which everyone is kind of helping each other. It's like I talk about these businesses every week, and then hopefully you as a guest, if you're up in the area, be like, oh yeah, I'll go check out this place and do a cheese tasting, or like, oh, I haven't heard about that fish farm. I'll go here and check that out. And then whenever I need information or I need something, that farm's just like, oh yeah, like here you go. So it's like you build this support system, which is amazing, and has helped us exponentially grow and learn really quickly. You know, when you get to walk around farms and see how they do it and see how they're growing in our area and our environment, and you can pick things up very quickly. And then you try and implement that, and then you fail, and then you keep learning and you keep growing, and then every year it just gets a little bit better.
And I saw earlier when we were touring the farm, there are chickens.
Yes,
they
yeah.
use their eggs.
Yeah.
So this is just curiosity. Do you have any plans to like have more animals maybe at some point, or?
Yeah, I think eventually, like it's just inevitable it's going to happen. We'll up our chicken program a little bit more in the next year or two. We're just like really trying to dial in. Just like right now we have 13, we'll probably bring that up to like maybe 25, which would give us enough eggs, more than we need. Which is incredible. I love the idea of having more animals. More animals means more work, and which means more help, and just another learning curve too as well. Like the idea of bringing maybe a couple pigs in every spring, harvesting them, like learning, growing with them, like feeding them, and then maybe harvesting them in the fall would be interesting. And I think, yeah, it's inevitable that like these things will happen. It's funny, if I sat back and looked like 2 years ago at like this moment now, where we're sitting here like looking out at like the farm and everything, and thinking like, well, yeah, well, like we're never gonna have a greenhouse, or we're never gonna have like this amount of like acreage that we're like farming, and it's like that's not gonna happen. But like, so like if you came back in like 3 years, there could be cows, there could be pigs, there could be like you never 100% know. I think like it just feels like inevitable that there will be more animals, because the animals will have a sense of purpose on the farm. So it's like, oh, okay, well, if we were to take over more acreage, and you have a good amount of pasture, it's like, well, what's a great way of utilizing that pasture? It's like ruminants walking across, eating the grass, pooping, they're naturally doing the thing, which is going to help build the soil, and it just makes sense. And then that eventually could be turned into more garden beds. So, and same thing with chickens, like you can have more chickens, use those chickens to work the land for you. So it's like it all makes sense. The more we continue growing as a farm and geeking out about plants and farming, the more those things continue to kind of come in and have a sense of purpose, like the chickens out front.
Regards to the setting itself as well, I'd imagine finding team members is a little different from a normal restaurant. Is it more difficult in this kind of unconventional settings, and how does this team work together?
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult. Finding team members up here, it's an interesting thing. Like we've grown very slowly, like as a business. Like Hannah and I investing, like kind of growing everything. When we first started, it was just literally just the two of us, like two of us cooking, kind of doing everything. And we slowly kind of started to add to the team, growing a little bit more and more. Um, Finding team members up here, I want to say like it is difficult, but I think when you do something special or different, people kind of seek that out. So we've never really had too much of a difficult time finding team members. I find a lot of times those team members find us, and just like it naturally like kind of works out with like the team that we have. But like in general, for like being rural up here and finding staff, it is a little bit more challenging because then you run into like cost of housing and labor and things like that, and making sure people are paid a sustainable wage so then they can afford to live up here. You know, I think that's an issue within our industry. But yeah, I was gonna say like it is hard to find staff, but then when I think about for us finding staff, I'm like, well, we've always found staff. And I'm like, actually, all of our staff has found us. And it's like, oh, okay, perfect. Like, yeah, that's great. We're definitely going to hire you. We really want you here. You're awesome. And we hire people a lot of times, not necessarily based on experience, but more based on kind of feelings of like how they just exist with other people. And just trying to make like a good energy. It's like people can be taught how to work, taught skills, like taught technique, like little things of how that goes. But like, I think people who like are good at like hospitality, of like just wanting to have like a good exchange of energy, is something that not everyone has in this industry, and we're lucky to find all of our team members who are that. So yeah, or I guess they found us.
I think that's kind of like the old saying, right? The birds of a feather flock together kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
You have the same ideas, or you're excited by, that sounds like something I want to get into.
Yeah. For instance, like our dishwasher Danielle, who she was off tonight because it was her birthday, but she found us because she's a homesteader, so she has an interest in like raising animals. She has gardens at home. She has a lovely like flower business, like as a flower farmer too as well. But then she worked here, so she started with us, kind of working in the gardens a bit, and then kind of started doing dishes in the kitchen, and then loved working in the kitchen. So then she stopped working in the garden and then started working in the kitchen. So she works with us like normally full time in the kitchen. And it's funny how that like just kind of transitioned, where I was like, oh, this is like fun for her, and like we all have fun and work together, but not a background in food and like no interest in like really working in restaurants. She just loved the environment and like just has a fun time working here. So it was like just a good exchange of energy, but can equally work as hard as anyone I've worked with in kitchens, and is very talented and works like very, very hard, takes great direction. You know what I mean? It's like those like right people find you, but then as a valuable employee, like she can sit and tell you each egg that's on the counter what chicken comes from. Like she knows all the breeds of chicken. She'll tell you like every little detail, which is incredible. Like for a business like us, who's like striving to create that experience of like selling a farm or like feeling like you're here, to have all of the employees that are like equally invested in like those types of interests too as well is very special. So we've done really well with having those types of employees come to us. I think that's just because we do what we do, and I think people seek that out. And most of the time, those people are like, well, like, yeah, of course I have gardens, or oh, I farm too as well, or I do this. So like you're all kind of gleaning information from each other, which is very fun.
Nice. Now, going back to the farm a little bit, or kitchen, I guess it makes
Yes.
two actually. Is there one ingredient that you can't live without? And is there, on the flip side, anything that you don't like, or you can't get into, or maybe you can't grow, whatever the case may be?
Yeah. Oh, geez. Can't grow. I'm trying to think. Melons. We all struggle with melons every year. It's just like trying to get like a crop of melons. I think like every year we're like, this is gonna be great, and like some things like work well than others. Yeah, melons like historically seem to be like a flop for us, which is pretty fun. I would love to have more melons on. I think it's, it's just cold up here. It's hard. It's hard to grow melons. ingredients that I feel like I can't live without. I don't know. Like, there's so many culinary herbs and stuff out there. It's so hard just to choose one.
Come to the
Like,
head, pick
yeah,
one kind of thing.
yeah. Like this time of year, kind of going like or earlier, like anise hyssop, like as a herb, like to kind of play around with like sauces, tea herbs, like broths, things like that. Desserts is like it's one of those things that I look forward to every year. We'll do like different ice creams with them sometimes on like different menus, and like you get that like sweet anise flavor, which we were kind of touching on earlier. We get like these intense herbal notes too as well in it, and it's just so complex and like so much fun to kind of like play around with. But I don't know why that one popped in my head at this moment. It's like one of like a million things out there. I think as we were walking around today, I was like chatting with one of my team members, Ben. He's like, I just love coming here. He's like, because I get to walk outside and I just get to like look at things and just eat so many different little tasty things that are so delicious. Like, I mean, like, pick a season, I would say, of things that I can't live without. It's like spring. I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited for ramps to come in. I'm so excited for garlic mustard. I'm so excited for, like, so many different little shoots coming out of the woods and plants, morels, mushrooms. It's like, and then the season kind of passes. There's, like, March. You're like, oh, March. I can't live without maple syrup. We're making maple syrup. We're tapping our trees. We're doing big sap oil parties. We do all the maple that we across our menu we make on site. So it's like March and then spring foraging season and then kind of getting into the garden. You're like, oh, I can't wait for that first radish. And then you're like, I can't wait for that first like green, and it just kind of carries. So it's like to be like, what's that one thing you can't live without? I'm like, it's just there's just too many things.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so you're touching on a little bit earlier as well, the seasons. So
Yes.
how do you deal with the changing of the seasons? Obviously, Canada is cold, doesn't much grow in winter season. So how do you manage that in the kitchen as well as in the farm?
Yeah, so biggest things for managing the seasons, as soon as the snow's gone and stuff's kind of coming through, pickling, preserving, drying, freezing, whatever we can do to capture those seasons until we get more snow. And we just basically stock a large pantry, and then we have things to play with all winter. Because we stick with the same philosophies that we do through the winter, even when we have 4 or 5 feet of snow on the ground. It can be very challenging, but also forces you to be very creative with certain things like, oh, I have squash, or I have sweet potato, or I have storage root vegetables. But when you build like an insane pantry of things, you're like, oh, I can pull this, and there's this pickled, and oh, I fermented this, or like this like preserve is here, or this was dried. Every season has a challenge. It's so interesting, and it's like I feel like every season when it ends, I'm happy that it's ending. I'm happy that it's going into the new thing. But then I'm excited for it to come back around. You know, it's like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. I'm ready. I'm like, now I'm into like fall mode. I'm like getting excited about those like nice cooler evenings. And it's just like everything is fairly like everything that's out there now. It's like still slowly growing, but it's kind of like it's there, and we're just kind of finishing it off and letting it grow until the fall. So it's like that's like a relief. You know, it's like ideally you're not having to water as much. You're getting more rain coming through. You know, it's a little bit cooler, so it's not as intense and hot on the plants. So it's like that's like I'm excited for that season, and then you know, kind of towards the end of fall, I'll be like, okay, I'm ready for winter to come in. I'm ready to tuck into those like nice slow braised meats and like you know like heartier dishes and things you're excited about, or like preserves and things like that. And then you go through winter and you'll be shoveling every day and making sure that you're trying to get people to come out of the farm, make sure it's safe for them to get here on these back roads. And it's like it all has its challenges, it all has its rewards, and it always leaves you excited for the next season, and then usually you're done with that season by the end of it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's fun when you talk about winter, strong flavors,
Yes.
things that needs a lot of time to cook always comes to mind, right? Stews.
Definitely, yeah. Like you don't have. I mean, this year might be a little bit different with the greenhouse, which we're gonna try and keep that pumping as long as we can. It definitely is gonna extend our seasons and what we can produce here. But that's where we start leaning back into more of our like farm friends that have more established like greenhouse farms, like things where it's gonna be like, okay, we start picking up certain things that'll start coming in from those farms, or like, like we transition more from like lighter, fresher dishes kind of through summer, and they kind of turn into like hardier, like kind of maybe root centralized like dishes through the fall and winter. And then also like we're limiting, I'd say like kind of limiting, like one of our challenges is just limiting our dietary restrictions through winter too as well. Like guests are coming in, and they have like a challenging restriction that maybe it's not the best time for you to come in for your best experience in winter. It's like if you're like a pescatarian or vegetarian, it's like if you come in summer, it's like we're gonna have this plethora of like so many different things to kind of play with and showcase. But like winter, it's like it's like we all know what are the staple winter crops that we have to play with. It's like we can do our best to make that exciting for you, but so we kind of limit that. Where we say like if you are this like, and this is the restrictions that you have, like maybe this is the best time of year for you to come, because I think this is when you're going to have the best experience for yourself. So that's like one of the ways we kind of navigate some of our challenges. But I mean, everything's a challenge.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. When you deal with, you can imagine the restrictions and different requests that comes in.
Yeah, definitely. And we're a small team. We do our best to. I think it's like you want your guests to have the best experience possible, and if it's something that we feel that like, we can't like necessarily provide within our foundation of things that we care about, like it's like, well, we're not going to bring something in because it doesn't fit the philosophies that like we do. So it's like we cook what we have around us, and we showcase farms that we have around us, and it's like if that's what we have at a certain time of year, so it's like that's the way we cook. So it's like we can't necessarily bend those philosophies of things, and it's like it's better like come this time of year. It's like it'll be much more enjoyable for you. Yeah,
that's the sort of the service side of things.
Definitely, yeah. And then it's just being honest with people, and like we want everyone to come in here to have best experience possible. Yeah.
All right. Tell us one kitchen restaurant secret.
Cooks are really good at hiding stress, maintaining things, you know what I mean, holding it all in. And I think that's something that it shouldn't be a secret. You know what I mean? They should be able to be a little bit more like expressive, like let it out, like creating environments. It's not a great way to talk about kitchen secrets. I don't know. Again, like we don't hold too many secrets here. It's just like it's all in front of you. Like we cook like very simply. It's like just like if you look at like our seasoning trays, it's like everything that was out there is like just there's sea salt, and then like a little like green alder, which is like for one thing, and then over here is like sea salt, and like there was some oils and stuff. It's like everything is very simple. Kitchen secrets. I'm still trying to think on that one.
Could be even like the way you do certain dish, or how you prep certain things that people don't know, or
okay, yeah. It doesn't have to be a dirty secret.
Whatever
okay, cool.
you can. It could be a dirty secret. Could be.
Yeah, no. I think
secret.
I think the joys of slightly curing a fish before, or salting something, maybe a little bit of a brine on a fish, is really gonna help lock in a lot of those juiciness. It's gonna help preserve it a little bit too. Like for instance, our fish, like we'll set it in a brine overnight.
Like a wet brine, or?
Yeah, wet brine. Yeah, not just like salted, like just wet brine. And it'll have a ratio of sweetness, so whether it be a little bit of maple, a little brown sugar, aromatics, and then that comes out. It gets dried off, and then it gets stuffed and then rolled, and then hung. But that will help. It almost like slightly cures it a little bit. But it's like, in a sense, it's preserving it. It's drying the skin. And then I find when you cook it too as well, it just releases really well off the grill because of that salting and slightly curing process. That's a fun one. And I've been doing fish that way for the last little while, and it's very enjoyable to cook. Um, yeah, tons of other like secrets. I mean, I don't know. Like it's funny. I was talking to a friend tonight that was dining here, and I was like, oh yeah, like everything's like pretty simple, like the way we cook. Like we just cook. Like a lot of things are fresh. Like a lot of things are just like right in front of you. Like, and he's like, simple isn't like necessarily easy, or like, and he's like, it's not simple. What's
It's actually
simple
hard
to
when you have
it's
to.
not.
You can't hide behind.
Yes, it's just like it's there. So it's like there's not really too many secrets of things. It's like here's a fire. I cooked this very simply on the fire with a little bit of salt, maybe a tiny bit of acid, and it's like just a perfect vegetable that I picked. Didn't even really need to go in the refrigerator or anything. It's like we just picked it today. We put it on the grill and we're serving it to you. You know, with maybe a nice sauce or an accompanying protein or something. So yeah, it's not too many secrets. I'm sure there's tons of like little techniques and things that you pick up along the way of like just hours and hours of doing sauce work and things like that, or reductions, or building flavors, which is just all typical, I don't know, skill things that every like restaurant has, or their little niches. Yeah, that's a
Cool. Last question for you. Thanks again, Chef Ray, for being with us today. Do you have any exciting new projects or things you're working on, farm or restaurants, or you can share?
Yeah, so we're in the works, have been for the last couple of months, of opening a farm store on the property. So
Like a store, just like
yes,
selling different...
yeah. So thinking about it's fun thinking about being in a space compared to like a traditional restaurant. Like let's say if you're in Toronto or whatever, it's like you have your allotted space, and it's like you have to make as much money as you can out of that space. We have ample amount of space here, so we can just continuously dream about like different projects, different ideas. Like you talk about animals, you talk about different things. It's like all of those things are possibilities and probably eventually will happen. Our latest project that we've been working on is we're working on a small store on property. So we love the idea of continuing to showcase local, learning how to grow, having a platform to kind of sell that product, as well as showcasing like Ontario beer, wine, and cider, like things that we are very passionate about. But we wanted a platform to kind of make that more approachable, I guess, for people, like that they don't have to necessarily just come in for a tasting menu. These things can be available, all the products that we're using, just on the shelves. You can kind of come in and purchase them at like a more reasonable price point, and it's still sticking with the same philosophies of things we care about, but we're still able to connect more with people and pushing those philosophies of things that we care about, as well as hopefully making a little bit of money off of it too, at least to pay for the fees or pay for the labor to run it. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. One of the things that I always want to get if I'm traveling like anywhere in Ontario, especially, is like, let's say if I'm going for a day trip, I just want to grab like a quick sandwich.
Exactly, yeah.
That would be, it's not easy to find. Like to your point, like as simple as you think it is, it's not easy to find.
Yes. And we're thinking about almost like we have like, again, like it's like the ideas of things that you could do with the space where it's like kind of grab and go, where you're like, oh, you have like, because we have like ample amount of space here, things. It's like, here's a curated picnic basket. It's like, oh, here's your picnic basket and here's your bottle of wine. It's like, let's sit over there, like under a tree, have your wine, like a glass of wine or your cider or your beer, and like have your picnic. And like it's another way to be like all with the same ingredients off the farm, or like showcasing small farms, but not necessarily in a way of being like a plated multi-course menu that that you have to pay for, like, you know what I mean, like pay for that experience to go to. It's just like another way to showcase local. I don't know, showcase what we care about, like all the people, connect more with people, and for us, like it's just like I love the idea of that. I love it. Like, I mean, as you look around, have you seen, like, probably been shooting, like there's just like tons of vintage things around. It's like more passion that we have is like the idea of like being able to put some of that out in the store and be like, oh, here's like the stuff that we're collecting, or like, oh, here's pottery from Heather, and like we have a little bit of that in the store, and like, oh, you like this when you went in the restaurant, well, you could buy some of that here. Or like, oh, like we were talking about this honey producer, it's like, here's this honey here, and like here's this, and like, and you could like, you do add-ons for your business. You'd be like, oh, like add a produce basket for the end of like your night, and like take that home, or like there's so many like amazing, like exciting options. And I know like I'm like most people who like run restaurants are like, okay, we're gonna open a restaurant here and we're gonna open a restaurant here. I'm just like I'm excited about like what we're gonna continue doing with the property. Like we were talking about this earlier, we just got married. We got married a couple weeks ago, but we got married on the property, and we spent 6 months cleaning out and renovating our barn. So now we have this barn, the whole top floor that's been renovated, lights, everything. There's a bar set up there, and it's like now that's just a blank canvas. And it's like, well, what are we doing with that? What can we do with that? Can we host events there? Could that be something in the future that we are able to do something with? Maybe it's a party. Maybe it's concerts. You never know. Like, I think like restaurants can be a box, like very confined. It's like this is what we do. It's like you do this. Like here's like your platform or what we do. Like just dining here once, I think you'd be like, oh, they're a tasting menu restaurant and they do this. But if you come and you hang out with us for multiple like events or different times of the season, it's like, oh, we'll do a sapple party in March and we'll have like 30 or 40 people in the backyard and we're just cooking snacks over the fire. And it's like maybe there's some music, Hannah's doing like a simple bar outside. And it's like we're not in a box, I guess. We don't ever put ourselves in a box that's like it needs to be always 100% this. So when you don't do that, you allow yourselves the opportunity to like be more outward thinking and be like, oh, can we do accommodations eventually on the property? What does this look like in 10 years from now? I feel like a lot of people, especially in Toronto or like big cities, they design restaurants to sell. Or it's like you hear it a lot of times, like, well, it was like there for 5 years or 10 years. Like that was like it was a pretty long business. It was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be here. You know, I want this to be something that my son grows up in and like has the environment and he's proud to be here doing whatever aspect of whatever that is. It doesn't have to be cooking. And it can be like a forever business, you know, and we're just going to continue growing and doing different things. And that's, yeah, I don't know, it's exciting.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds almost like not so much common yet, I guess, in Ontario to your point, but like let's say California, single thread, you know, they have their farm, the restaurant, and they have to your point, like I don't know, call it like a hotel or or farm stay, whatever you call it. It's just you stay overnight and there's breakfast and there's the whole experience around the actual property itself.
Exactly. Yeah. You're coming here and it's like you're there. Agritourism is a big thing. And it's like it's a whole market and it's amazing, like, but like, you know, it's funny, like cooking food is like just my vessel, like to have a connection with, like, you know, like building a relationship with someone. It's like I cook food for someone, but really that's just my like secret power because I want to like hang out with people and like connect with them and talk with them and like actually like create feelings with someone. As opposed to feeling like a transactional thing. Like a lot of times you go to restaurants, like here's a plate of food, thank you, money, like that's it. It's like you don't feel anything. It's like I want people to feel something when they come here, and that can be like it doesn't have to be just with food. It's like it could be a store and you can make someone feel something. I mean, just make someone feel special. It's like it could be just like walking in the property. It could be just showing up. Like I don't know. Like there's so many different things. It could be that picnic basket. It could be going to see some animals eventually. It could be something to do with the barn. So it's like never being too in a box allows you to be very creative, and we've created the perfect platform, I guess, to do that here, you know. So.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what comes next year, really and truly.
Exactly, yeah,
for sure. And so thanks again, Chef Dre, for being with us today. So that's all the question I have, and
thank you.
I'll look forward to continuing chatting and seeing how you guys evolve, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on, great.
Awesome.
Thank you.